Noob Saibot is one of, if not my favorite character in the entirety of Mortal Kombat. And honestly, that's probably one of the only good things I'm gonna be saying about this guy for the rest of the video. Bi-Han is the first to hold the title of Sub-Zero, with the second being his brother Kuai Liang. And in all three timelines, he is fated to become the undead all-powerful wraith that is known as Noob Saibot. But just before this, in Mortal Kombat 9, Bi-Han enters the tournament with his fellow Lin Kuei assassins to compete for Outworld, with his first fight being against...
Done.
Damn!
You're leaving.
With his first fight being against Sonya Blade. It's at this point in the video where I have to slightly detour because I cannot continue ignoring the fact that this is the worst organized tournament ever. Shang Tsung was just freestyling the whole shit start to finish. In the beginning, he had everybody assembled together. The fighters of Earthrealm, the fighters of Outworld, a random ass monk audience, some security guards I'm guessing. This might be the last assembly that would ever need security guards, but okay. My point is that everybody is assembled and organized as if it were an actual tournament. And every fight after that, it gets increasingly more spontaneous. After 2 fights, he stops the gathering to say the tournament resumes tomorrow. And this man walks into Sonya Blade underground trying to free Jax and says, "You will face Sub-Zero." Then he just spawns in? How did he hear that? Did he know he was gonna fight next? He said the tournament resumes at dawn. Nigga, this is the same night 15 minutes later. Anyways, 20 minutes into the game, Bi-Han's first fight against a regular raggedy-daggedy white woman, he loses. And this isn't even the most confusing part of this scene, right? Raiden teleports in right after Sub-Zero gets his ass beat. I don't know why people keep teleporting in, and I don't know where Bi-Han went after he lost. For some reason, when Raiden spawns in, the second Shang Tsung senses the slightest disagreement between the two, he goes, "A challenge?" I don't know what pisses me off the most. The fact that Shang Tsung cut her off, or Sonya randomly getting mad at Raiden, not at Shang Tsung, or Raiden getting his ass beat. Or the fact that both of them are on the same team. So whose team does this win count as? Because even if Friendly Fire would somehow remove a point from Earthrealm, Raiden isn't able to participate. So he just made them fight for no reason. Yo, who put this old ass nigga in charge, man? Day 2. Everybody is assembled again. I don't know what the score is, and I don't know if everybody's caught up on what happened last night, but in this scene, Scorpion shows up. He starts yapping about his family and how he wants to fight Sub-Zero and wants his head. Scorpion and Kung Lao fight. Scorpion wins. Nightwolf fights him next and also loses to Scorpion. The next scene is in this room. Remember when I said that Scorpion spawned in and started yapping earlier? He wants Sub-Zero because he supposedly killed his entire clan. Raiden in turn says that if he defeats Sub-Zero and doesn't kill them, Raiden will try to convince the Elder Gods to bring his clan back. The reason I say this is because Scorpion becomes somewhat passive after this. So when walking up to rival Lin Kuei members Cyrax and Sector, they low-key cuss Scorpion out and his whole clan.
Your inferior clan is dead. Soon you will join them.
My clan may walk the earth once more.
Read that.
Nigga, calm down. Why did he get mad at that? Scorpion said nothing bad back to you nor your clan, so what part of what he said provoked him that much? Then, like clockwork, right after this, Shang Tsung, not missing a beat, "A challenge?" I'm telling you, he makes this shit up on the spot, bruh. The Lin Kuei are fighting for Outworld. He is making teams fight amongst themselves. Shang Tsung has managed tournaments for centuries before this one, so I shiver, I shudder at the thought of how he handled the other tournaments before this. This point goes to nobody, and on top of that, Bi-Han pulls up to talk shit to Scorpion and not only loses to him, Scorpion kills him. Not only was Sub-Zero also fighting for Outworld, that nigga already lost. Sonya Blade beat his ass. So why did he come back unannounced? So Scorpion eliminated 3 people off of his own team and also Kung Lao and Nightwolf. Johnny Cage is eliminated by Cyrax. Wait, was Cyrax not already eliminated? I guess it doesn't count since they were both representing Outworld. So why make them fight anyway? You know what? Cyrax eliminates but refuses to kill Johnny Cage, which in turn pisses off Sector, his fellow Lin Kuei member, and they fight shortly after. Why does nobody know how to follow directions in this godforsaken game? Literally all you have to do is not fight your teammates and fight the other team. This is like the 5th instance of people fighting amongst themselves. But also, after Johnny Cage is eliminated, Shang Tsung says the last fighter for Earthrealm is Liu Kang. Sonya never lost. How did she get eliminated? She won every single fight she was in. This is making my head hurt, man. I guess she forfeited the tournament once she got a hold of her partner Jax, but this was never addressed. The conclusion of the tournament is Liu Kang faces and wins against Shang Tsung and Goro and claims victory over the last 2 contestants.
My new headphone broke. My old headphone broke. My keyboard broke.
After this loss, everybody sorry ass does the walk of shame back to where they came from. There is a new tournament later on in the story, but this tournament takes much more of a backseat in comparison in the story and has virtually nothing to do with Bi-Han. So back to Bi-Han, who is the real topic of this video. Just to recap, he loses his first fight in the game 15 minutes into the story, and he's eliminated, but for some reason he comes back fresh off a loss and dies. So this is 0 for 2, not even 30 minutes in, and dead. In his next appearance in the story, he is resurrected to be an undead servant to the sorcerer Quan Chi, who by the way lied to Scorpion saying that Bi-Han killed his family when it was actually Quan Chi. So now Bi-Han serving a nigga that lied on his name. I could say 0 for 3 just off of that, cause that's tough. Anyways, with this resurrection, Bi-Han loses his powers of cryomancy, but gains new powers under the name Noob Saibot. These powers allow him to infinitely clone himself. Please remember this. Infinitely clone himself, open up portals, and teleport. With all of these newfound powers, Noob Saibot finds himself against the formidable Kung La. 0 for 3. For our next appearance, we'll fast forward to Cabal's chapter. Cabal is, or was, Stryker's partner in the police force before Kentaro burned his ass alive. Shortly after recovering through Shang Tsung's magic, he infiltrates Shao Kahn's fortress in an attempt to escape Outworld through his portal to Earth. And when spotted, he becomes outnumbered in a 2v1 against Melina and Noob. This was technically a 3v1 because, mind you, Noob Saibot fights alongside his shadow and still loses. Zero for 4, bro. Oh my god. In his next appearance, he meets his brother Kuai Liang. Now, I've summarized Kuai Liang's journey through this campaign in my last video, but to put it short, Kuai Liang has taken the title of Sub-Zero shortly after Bi-Han loses his only 2 matches. Kuai Liang, after assuming his title, won every single match he found himself in, demanded to fight Scorpion and beat his ass, only to get jumped by like 5 Lin Kuei robots and turned into a microwave. After getting cyberized, he goes on another winning streak and is at a graveyard spying on Quan Chi's Soul Tornado, when the ever-hopeless Noob Saibot marches over to confront Cyber Kuai Liang. It is then where he says the single most upsetting line I've ever heard in a video game.
Quan Chi restored me. Restored? You and I both. We are flawed copies of our former selves. I have no flaws.
No flaws!
Yo, who the fuck is this?
No flaws! Why is it that the most useless person you know is always the most narcissistic? Where does this nigga get this confidence from? You have no recorded wins. You haven't won a single fight in a fighting game. And what do you mean serving the Netherrealm fits your Negro, please. What have you done to accomplish that purpose? You couldn't even accidentally be useful up to this point. I'm not even gonna say anything else. I'm gonna just play the rest of this clip.
It suits my purpose. But brother, we share blood. We are not brothers.
Then I will not regret your defeat.
as if that wasn't enough, to finally wrap up this whole shitfest, he fights Nightwolf right after this, with what is probably the worst fighting choreography I've ever seen in my life. Then he gets kicked into the very soul tornado that he helped make and dies. Again. This is the last time he's seen in this entire game. Nigga lost every fight and died. 2 times! 2 on-screen deaths in the same game. His poor performance on the court led him to being transferred to play overseas with the Sweden Swordfishes for the entire duration of Mortal Kombat X. For some reason in Mortal Kombat 11, Bi-Han is at his sassiest compared to every other appearance. This is not, mind you, this is not an easy feat by any stretch of imagination. His last appearance, all he did was talk shit, die, look at his brother in the face. I have no flaws. In Mortal Kombat 11, Kronika, a Titan, makes her first appearance in this game, threatening the erasure of this timeline in order to make a new era, due to her being fed up with the current one. And considering Bi-Han's track record, it's no surprise that he also wants to erase history. It's funny how that works, huh? I don't know who he was feeling like. But like I said, he's extremely sassy for most of his dialogue. Maybe he's mad that he had like 50 seconds of screen time. Maybe he just had a really bad day. But at one point, he just blatantly starts being sexist.
You should have been Grandmaster.
I would not allow female Lin Kuei.
You're worse than Kuai Liang.
Bro, what is wrong with this nigga? Why did you feel the need to say that to the only person who would ever unconditionally praise you? You know how sometimes you be wanting to feel bad for somebody, but they make it extremely hard to for no reason? I get that you might still be mad about your astronomical underperformance in your last appearance, which led to him getting benched for the entirety of Mortal Kombat X, by the way. 9 DLC characters. They added a stank-ass fat alcoholic bitch before they subbed Noob in. Why are you mad at females? What do they have to do with this? Frost might be just as much of a dumbass as you are, but that was so uncalled for. I low-key felt bad for her at that moment. Bi-Han is like 2 losses away from becoming a right-wing grifter at this point. I'm gonna keep his Mortal Kombat 11 track record very short. Just like they did, by the way. After 8 years since his last appearance, losing 4 fights, winning 0, and getting sucked into a tornado, not only does he have less screen time, he actually, surprisingly, wins the only 3 fights he sees himself in. Just kidding.
Guess Ermac's not the only one who's weak.
Do you know they not going in, don't you? You just be throwing that bitch up, don't you? You be shooting straight red releases, man. Your shit be nowhere near the line, bruh.
We all know not to take the power scaling of Mortal Kombat serious, but it is a damn shame because they clearly take their time when it comes to his design and showcasing his abilities, yet loses every single time, while Stryker, random white guy from New York, undefeated. I can't help but think of Nakali, who is handled almost just as incorrectly. I don't know if it's worse that Nakali ate shit for the entirety of Street Fighter V and never came back after that, or that Noob goes through the same stuff in multiple games. But I will say though, he makes an appearance in the DLC expansion of Mortal Kombat 11, and he has his best fight scene to date in my opinion. In Mortal Kombat 1, with the timeline being reset, he is now the Grand Master of Lin Kuei. which was honestly the most shocking fucking news I heard about that game, considering his track record. I was more shocked to hear that than Sub-Zero and Scorpion now being brothers, for crying out loud. I don't know what possessed Liu Kang to choose Bi-Han as Grandmaster, because I think he would have a very hard time naming one thing, just one thing that Bi-Han has done in the past to prove that he would be a good fit for such a position of power. I don't think a win-to-loss ratio of this caliber should be socially acceptable for a Grandmaster. Bi-Han as Sub-Zero gets nearly 3 times as much screen time as he has in Mortal Kombat 9 and 11 combined. That's not even including Chaos Reigns, where he becomes Noob Saibot. With this screen time, he also gets a lot of wins for once. He loses here and there, but this is really cool to see on paper at least. Just like how I said he's the type of person that makes it hard to feel bad for him, the only drawback from this extra screen time is that on top of having 3 times as much of it, he is also 3 times as insufferable as you've ever seen him before. He has this hard-ass mentality about him with very little honor. He's even willing to attack Scorpion at his own wedding. One key trait that is important to his character is that instead of guiding the world, he would much rather rule it with an iron fist. I say this is important because he almost instantly folds and betrays the Lin Kuei, of which he is the Grand Master. Liu Kang, I'm looking at you. Of which he is the Grand Master. He betrays the Lin Kuei in favor of more power alongside Shang Tsung. I mean, why you gotta be a hard ass and a dumbass? Leave some ass for the rest of us. I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over. After betraying his brother Kuai Liang, he then proceeds to get his ass beat by him shortly after. There isn't much different to his story here despite the extra screen time. But it's cool because up to this point, Bi-Han has pretty much always been somebody bitch. First it was Quan Chi, then it was Kronika. Now, he's not nobody bitch, but sadly, he is still a dumb bitch. He doesn't become Noob until the expansion of Chaos Reigns, which he is clearly supposed to be the highlight of the story, with the most screen time he's probably ever had. But at this point, the issue is no longer that he is useless and gets tossed by everybody. The issue is 2 things. One, that at his core he is arrogant, short-sighted, hard-headed, selfish asshole, and 2, because he is never one of the main villains. And because of that, he will never have a good run in a Mortal Kombat story. The good characters don't mess with him like that, and the bad characters also don't mess with him like that. And he stay getting his ass beat, so he can't even be a good villain, for crying out loud. He is destined to be somebody bitch until the day he dies. And because of that, it doesn't matter how much screen time he has. Now, I don't know if he's still sexist in this timeline. Maybe Liu Kang patched that, especially since he got the whole romance with Sector going on, which is another horrible person, by the way. 2 cheeks of the same ass right the fuck there. There is much to learn from a man like Noob Saibot. It's actually inspirational. The fact that every single opportunity he's had to prosper, he's failed miserably and is still here is very respectable. It's a lot of niggas out here fuck up once and is too scared to try again. Granted, for somebody like Noob, he might have just been better off tapping out early on. I'm just saying. I was not lying when I said he was one of my favorite characters in Mortal Kombat. He was my favorite character in Mortal Kombat 9 when I was a kid, and that is still my favorite Noob design. His Chaos Reigns design is a very close second though, but I just like how simple his design is in 9. There is a reason why I didn't touch on the original timeline. With Mortal Kombat 9 being a reboot of the first 3 games, the original timeline is more or less the same story and events, but with much less detail, especially related to Bi-Han. There aren't many notable events when it comes to Noob specifically. There is Mortal Kombat Mythologies, which is a game that is chronologically the first to take place that centers Bi-Han as Sub-Zero. It's probably the only piece of media that doesn't depict Bi-Han as a useless piece of dog shit. So good for him. Except that was almost 30 years ago, widely considered to be one of the worst Mortal Kombat games ever, and it's also boring as shit. So yeah, good for him. Yet another character that is embarrassingly bitch-faced, horrible at their job, acts extremely cold to their only sibling, and also has a spin-off that is regarded as one of the worst games in the series. Now, why does that sound so familiar? Anyways, that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys liked the video, and see you next time.